My biggest fear would be when the first comes and I don't get the rent.
I found that my tenant had dumped concrete down my toilet. Can you believe Fair Housing fined me $5,000 for that?
How do you onboard your tenants? What do you do?
I don't even know if I do it right.
If you're a landlord, don't just rent, rent perfect. The Rent Perfect podcast with property expert and private investigator, David Pickron.
Well, welcome today. We're here today to talk about smoking, Scott. Smoking anything over there?
Smoking in the boys' room.
Smoking in the boys' room. Awesome. Scott Aubrey, welcome today.
Thank you.
It's good to see you. Coming off a little bit of a sickness. It seems like this whole world just gets sick.
Yeah.
Just way more
Yep.
often than usual. So we'll try to ignore all those little coughings and
Sniffles, coughs. I apologize in advance.
you really had the deep voice yesterday.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean,
it's getting
really
better
good
and
on
back
that.
to normal.
Awesome. Sounds good. But let's talk about smoking today. It just seems to be when I started in this business, you just put a clause out there that just said, no smoking.
Yeah.
Covered it all. It was good.
Yeah. But like everything else, I mean, people are interpreting that.
Right.
What smoking meant 10 years
Right.
ago is not what it means today.
Right. So Heather, who works here, she's actually renting out one of her rentals, and she called me yesterday and she said, hey, listen, in my Zillow ad, or my online ads, wherever she puts them, she says, my second line says, no smoking, no pets. And then she went to show the property, never had that discussion with them in person.
Okay.
Then she gets the paycheck stub, and under the insurance, it says tobacco use, and it shows on his paycheck stub that the insurance makes him pay $80 in insurance because he uses tobacco.
Okay.
Okay. So she's like, whoa, ding, 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 wait. So she calls me. She's like, wait, what do I do? And I said, well, did you go over your criteria with him in person at the showing? Well, I handed it to him, but I didn't. I said, okay, so we need to go over this. You need to go over what does no smoking mean to you. And it's going to be in her ad, and it's going to be in her lease.
Right.
But there was still something here that missed because she almost gave the keys to somebody that would maybe, I don't want to say ruin her house, but it would certainly make a very expensive turn.
Sure.
With
yeah.
new paint, maybe new carpet, something like that. So she called him and she said, hey, I noticed this is on your check. And he's like, well, I vape every once in a while. So now she says, okay, all right. She calls me, is vaping considered smoking? Right?
Great question. Yeah.
And so it took me down a road to review kind of what I do. And I really never have this problem because I address it at the time of showing. But in case we have clients or people that have leases that aren't addressing this at case of showing, I wanted to clarify what no smoking meant. So naturally, our in-house attorney, I get him on the phone. I said, hey, listen, we need something better than just no smoking. So let's really realize we're not saying no smoking because it's a moral issue. We don't believe in smoking. We're
Right,
really worried
right.
about our property, right? So would vape be the same as smoking? And so we came up with a new clause. We're putting in the Rent Perfect lease. It's going to go in there. If it's not already in there by the time you hear this. But I wanted to kind of go over that and why we decided to put this in and really drill down on the no smoking clause.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you allow any smoking in any of your units?
No, and funny enough, last time I was up at my unit, went out on the patio. We'd had a renter in there for about a week prior to that. Went out on the patio to enjoy some fresh air, and there was a fully unlit cigarette sitting on the patio. So maybe he was just creature habit putting that in his lips to feel like he was smoking, but I don't think so. I think someone had been smoking on the patio of that property, which is forbidden. So yeah, that does frustrate me.
So before we get into this specific language, we're going to read and kind of dissect, and then you can get this specific language from us if you email us at info@rentperfect.com. But I want to talk about smoking and the history that I've had. Now, I don't want to say that everybody is the same and everybody who smokes is the same, but I'm just talking in general.
Yeah.
The statistics say this might happen. So if someone says, yes, I smoke, but I never smoke inside, I always smoke on the back patio. Have you had any kind of history with that at all?
I haven't, not personally, but being a former real estate guy, I did show my fair number of homes where that claim had been laid, and inevitably you smell it inside the house.
You absolutely smell it. Now,
Yeah.
Now, Scott, we're in a commercial office building. Everybody knows this lady that's at the mortgage company down the way, and everybody knows when she goes on smoke break, and she's outside, but somehow that permeates all around, and we all laugh about it. Oh, I guess so-and-so's out on smoke break right now, right?
Yep.
So the big farce of I would never smoke in the house, I only smoke on the back patio, I never buy that. I'm sorry. I don't want it on my back patio.
Yep.
I don't want it on the furthest corner of my lot. I just don't want cigarette smoke.
Well, it's in your. I mean, the reality is it's in your clothes.
Yes.
Which then, where do my clothes reside? They reside
Right.
in my property.
Right.
So,
and carpet, it has to be completely changed. Not just the carpet, but the padding underneath.
mm-hmm.
The house needs to be painted. The appliances need to be scrubbed down. A counter. I mean, it is just.
Look, it gets in the ductwork. It gets in
Yeah,
everything.
it gets
it
in
really
everything.
does get in everything.
So, so going through this, I kind of wanted to also talk about. I know that, and I don't mean to pick on this lady down the way at all.
Yeah.
She's a nice lady. I've talked
For
to
sure.
her, right?
Yeah.
But is she ever out there smoking by herself?
Never.
She's got her
She's
little
got a
group,
posse.
right? It's
Yeah,
like
it's
they
a
text
posse.
each other from around the
Yep.
complex, and they're like, "Hey, smoke break at
Yep.
11:10," and they're out there just chatting away, and piles of smoke are going up
Yep.
in the air. People who smoke hang out with people who smoke. People who vape probably hang out with people who vape and smoke. For me, I just think of who is going to be at my house and what are they going to be doing.
Right.
So even on the vaping side, I think that just introduces someone who puts something to their mouth, breathes in, blows out. It's just something I don't want on my property. And this is just a
Correct.
personal insight of mine. So I am a no on vaping. Whether you can prove it goes into the walls or it goes into the, carpet or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just that whole thing in my house. But I then told Denny, our attorney, let's go further than that. So
Okay.
let's go through this. Let's go through this line by line. So our new clause says resident and no one in or at the resident's household shall in any way use incense. Let's stop right there. Incense. That is something people burn, and it's like, I think we talk about candles a little later.
Mhm.
It's a flame, it's smoke. It just gets into the walls. I don't want heavy incense.
Even if it smells like sandalwood or the greatest scent on earth,
Yes.
it's going to be in everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Vaping materials, marijuana, or other drugs or materials to produce drugs. I don't want any chemicals in there.
Right.
The mass chemicals to produce drugs. Cigarettes, cigars, pipes, or anything else that would or may cause damage to the interior or exterior of the premises, including but not limited to walls, floors, cabinets, counters, mirrors, carpets, patio, yard, garage, and any other area or surface inside or outside of the structure.
And key to me on both of those things I underline on mine are exterior and outside, because people just want to say, well, this is an inside problem. But again, as we talked about, it's not always an inside problem. I just smoke in the garage,
Right.
which is connected to my house, which when
Right.
you open the door, I mean, it's, I mean, any time inside, outside, it's just a no-go.
And, we had a podcast a while ago that talked about how good it is to know the neighbors of your rentals, right?
Yep.
If they've got that cigarette smoke coming over their back fence, coming into their house, and they know I don't allow smoking, I got a great pair of eyes and
Yep.
nose, a great pair of nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, it's not a pair of nose, nose out
Great
there.
pair of nostrils. Yeah. No.
To make that phone call and
Yep.
say, hey, somebody is doing this on your property.
Hey, some interesting research I found, right?
Yeah.
The nose is 150,000 times more powerful than the eyes, as far as
Okay.
the scent goes.
As far as scent goes.
So your neighbor may not see them smoking, but I can guarantee you they will smell them smoking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
I love it. 150%?
150,000 times more
Oh,
powerful
geez.
than our eyesight.
I'm kind of smelling you right now. So
Thank
I'm
you.
kinda Anyways, we move on. Furthermore, resident and no one in or at the resident's household shall use any kind of spices, scent,
Mm-hmm.
incense, vaping materials, marijuana, or any other drugs or materials to produce drugs, cigarette pipes, aromas, aromatherapy, sprays, fragrances, nor produce or allow any obnoxious smells or odors, nor allow anything else that would or may interfere with unimpeded, uninstructed, and unrestricted use and peace and quiet enjoyment of any other resident or neighbor. right? This is
Yeah.
what we're talking about. So if you're in the backyard and you're saying, hey, it's not getting in the house and you're still the neighbor smelling it, I want to know about it.
Yep.
Okay. And then we close it with, of course, mildly scented cleaning products and reasonable air fresheners are permissible. So I'm not looking to shut down Febreze or Lysol.
Right.
Please use those all you want, right?
Yep. Clean the house. We love
Right.
that. Thank you.
But anything that's within smoke has to land somewhere. I mean, you know, the old thing of spring cleaning was we came out of the winter, we burned all the wood all winter
Yep.
long, and you had a silt, you know, a kind of a film over everything. And you did spring cleaning, and you wiped everything down, and you got all of that stuff out there. Smoke does leave layers of stuff on things around your house. So we went into made it more in depth. You need to have this in your lease. We'll have it in the Rent Perfect lease here. And anything else to add on that? I mean, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, pretty clear. I mean, I think one of the things that jumped out at me was spices, right? And that is an interesting one. I think if you're using heavy spices in cooking and things like that, it can permeate into that property. I mean, I've seen shown properties where I walked in the house and I knew exactly what they'd been cooking for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Because it was in the carpets.
So a lot of this stems from like curry, like a heavy curry smell that just absolutely, you walk in the house and it just smells like curry for days and days and days. And I was talking to our legal counsel, Denny, and he's like, I remember a case. He said, I evicted somebody for using excessive spices in their food that was ruining the house.
Yeah.
And you might say, well, geez, that's kind of mean. But listen, I'm the one who has to go back and paint and replace and do all this stuff. So this at least gives you something in the lease where you can control those unwanted scents or those annoying habits that are bugging the neighbors or going to ruin your property. So go ahead and email us at info@rentperfect.com. We would love to send this out to you and add that to your lease. And in the meantime, continue to rent perfect.